Today, I'll talk about Dover Beach, a poem by the Victorian poet Matthew Arnold. Dover Beach is a lyric poem by the English poet Matthew Arnold. It was first published in 1867 in the collection New Poems, but surviving notes indicate its composition may have begun as early as 1849. The most likely date is 1851. The title, locale, and subject of the poem's descriptive opening lines is the shore of the English ferry port of Dover. Dover Beach is the most celebrated poem by Matthew Arnold, a writer and educator of the Victorian era. The poem expresses a crisis of faith, with the speaker acknowledging the diminished standing of Christianity, which the speaker sees as being unable to withstand the rising tide of scientific discovery. New research and intellectual inquiry cast doubt on humankind's central and special role in the universe. The speaker in the poem senses this change almost subconsciously, seeing and hearing it in the sea that the speaker is looking out upon. In its expression of alienation, doubt, and melancholy, the poem is often interpreted as a remarkably forward thinking precursor to 20th century crisis of faith, like existentialism and absurdism. In essence, the poem is an inquiry into what it means to be alive. Matthew Arnold, the English Victorian poet and literary and social critic, noted specially for his classical attacks on the contemporary tastes and manners of the barbarians, that is, the aristocracy, the Philistines, that is, the commercial middle class, and the populace. He became the apostle of culture in such works as Culture and Anarchy in 1869. Among the major Victorian writers, Matthew Arnold is unique in that his reputation rests equally upon his poetry and his poetry criticism. Only a quarter of his productive life was given to writing poetry, but many of the same values, attitudes, and feelings that are expressed in his poems achieve a fuller or more balanced formulation in his prose. This unity was obscured for most earlier readers by the usual evaluations of his poetry as gnomic or thought laden, or as melancholy or elegiac, and of his prose as urbane, didactic, and often satirically witty in its self imposed task of enlightening the social consciousness of England. Let's talk about the poem. The first stanza of the poem goes as: The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair upon the straits, on the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon blanched land. Listen, do you hear the grating roar of pebbles as the waves draw back and cling at their return? At the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin. With tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Immediately after his marriage with Frances Lucy Whitman, Arnold visited Dover with her. Yet he does not feel happy, nor does he romanticize this situation. Arnold laments here the loss of religious faith in the Victorian era. A profoundly melancholy poem, Dover Beach, has a nostalgic feeling. It is, as Herbert Paul says, at once religious and skeptical, philosophical and emotional. The speaker looks out upon a calm sea and observes the fullness of the tide and the moon reflecting on the water. Looking across the English Channel, the speaker sees the light of the French coast fade away. while the cliffs of the English coast stand tall and bright and the bay seems calm. Suddenly, the speaker addresses his wife, Frances Lucy, to listen to the harsh sound of the waves, alternately advancing and retreating, and carrying away the pebbles from the sea beach and flinging them back to the beach. He wants his wife to notice how the pebbles move along with the waves of the sea. The process of advancing and retreating continues ceaselessly. In spite of the harsh sound, there's a rhythm in it. The poet finds in the rhythmic movement of the waves a note of sadness. But this calm beginning is also part of the poem's strategy to evoke a movement from spiritual security to existential worry. The reader is meant to experience the speaker's thought processes in real time, and the first three lines gently draw the reader into this psychological world. Put another way, this opening lures the reader into a false sense of security which will unravel as the poem goes on, a strategy that mirrors the way that the poem chronicles a move away from faith and certainty towards doubt and anxiety. Let's talk about the second stanza. Sophocles long ago heard it on the agent, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We also find in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. All of a sudden, the speaker thinks about the ancient Greek playwright Sophocles and imagines Sophocles hearing the same sadness in the Aegean Sea as the speaker hears now on the English coast. Sophocles, in the mind of the speaker, likens the sad sound of the waves to the general sorrow of humanity which moves like the waves. The speaker then notices another thought that comes with the sound of the sea. Explaining this next thought, the speaker describes this religious faith is a sea that was once full like the tide. At that time, it reached around the earth like a girdle. Now, though the speaker just hears that sea's sad retreat, as the sea of faith becomes smaller, says the speaker, it disappears into the atmosphere and leaves the edges of the world naked. Here, in this third stanza, the sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle pearl, but now I only hear its melancholy long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. In this third stanza, as I told you just now, Arnold compares the sea with religion. Once the sea of religion was full. In another word, people all over the world had deep religious faith. But in the Victorian era, the sea of faith has run dry. People are skeptical. It is now leaving the world barren and dry. With the decline of religious faith, men are getting more and more materialistic. When the waves of the sea recede, the coast looks naked, dry, and cheerless, and the pebbles sprawl on the shore hideously. Similarly, when the sea of religious faith recedes, the pebbles of skepticism are left. The last stanza, that's the fourth stanza. Our love, let us be true to one another, for the world, it seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy nor love nor life, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help or pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight by ignorant armies flashed by night. The speaker suddenly addresses The companion is love and states desperately that the two of them need to treat each other with honesty and authenticity. This is because the world, though it has a dream like quality of variety, beauty, and newness, doesn't actually offer joy, love, or clarity. Neither claims the speaker, nor it provide nor can it provide certainty, peace, or relief from pain. The speaker then compares the collective situation to standing on a flat and dark piece of land which is caught up in the chaos of fighting. Here, battles between unknowing groups continue under the cover of darkness. In this stanza, the world before them looks like a lovely wreath on the moonlit night. It is, however, an enchanting illusion. It has no certitude of peace or joy. The world is a darkling flame. In this world, men are fighting in the dark, completely ignorant whom they are fighting against and what exactly they are fighting for. Now, I would like to tell you about the symbol C in this. The C is a multi-functioning symbol that courses throughout the entire poem. At first, the sea is still and calm, creating a sense of security that the poem eventually undoes. But the speaker begins to observe the sea more closely and notices that it is not as calm as it first seemed. The detail of the observation increases alongside the speaker's increasingly troubled psyche. The sound of the sea and the way it moves and babbles become unnerving. In this sense, then, the sea is a symbol for the speaker's own inner thought. The sea also functions as a representation of time. In the second stanza, the sea becomes a vehicle through which the speaker is mentally transported to ancient Greece. The body of water that covers the earth has always been there, and the speaker imagines Sophocles, the great Greek tragedian, reading the same symbol of misery in the sea as the speaker does. It's in part a symbol of the past as well as the way the connection between humans across eras. A third figurative use of the sea is in the speaker's concept of the sea of waves. In its uniformity and far-reaching connectivity, the speaker reads a similarity to the way that religion once covered the world. The sea then is also a representation of the globe itself and the religion's place within it. Thank you.